Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
The Hungry Gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 154th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and Audio Technica. And I am your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere, Brendan8bit. And on today's episode, it is going to be very E3-centric with plenty of spoilers. So if you are looking to keep E3 as a big surprise this week, we suggest staying off the internet. We need to bring in our usual co-host here, Miss Ellie Hart. You can find her at Miss Ellie Hart. And Salim Abraham, you can find him in dark alleys, as well as at Salim TD.
Wow.
Welcome to episode 154. What is going on?
Fucking right in there with a dig on Sam. Just like a little side swipe there.
Opening salvo, just...
Yeah, just started.
I'll wear it. It's fine. I'm good. How are you guys? You good? We're in the middle of E3 at the moment. It's very exciting.
Yes, we are up to our eyeballs in E3 leaks at the moment. It is bonkers out there. All right, so episode 154. I thought we'd start off with a quick question that I got sent to me via Twitter user Keith Awin. And it's on the back of a lot of discussions that we've sort of dabbled in here and there over the last few weeks. And his question reads, on the back of all this PlayStation Productions talk, I suggest we change it up. Tell us one film franchise you'd love to see translate to a video game.
Oh, man.
So Dream?
Damn.
I just read that. Oh, dude. Black Mirror Season 5, Episode 1. God damn. Make that video game, baby.
You just want to see a Tekken porno, pretty much.
Oh.
I have no point of reference right now.
Oh, it's okay. When you get around to it, Season 5, Episode 1, Ali, start there. Or Season 1, Episode 1. That's always the best place to start with Black Mirror. But then, yeah, straight to 5, Episode 1.
Yeah, a bit of Striking Tigers, you reckon?
I would
Striking
love to
Vipers,
see,
sorry, not Tigers.
I would love to see a Civ-style Game of Thrones game. Or like a Total War Game of Thrones game. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's one on like mobile. I know there's one on mobile that's in the vein of like what was that really popular mobile game for a while there? Where it is like you build a base and you have like little fantasy armies.
Oh, Castle Crashers. No, not Castle Crashers.
Castle Kingdom, something Kingdom.
I don't know.
Anyway,
some bullshit by Zambia.
Anyway, Total War RTS style Game of Thrones. Give it to me.
What house would you be?
I would be... Oh, it's a good question. I think I'd be...
The Lannisters, right?
No, I'd be like the...
The Greyjoys.
The Greyjoys, yeah. I think I'd be... Or maybe I'd be the dude from the Twins, the Freys. I'd be a little Walder Frey. That'd be fun.
With your 20 million sister wives.
Yeah.
Or daughter wives, I should say.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of opportunity there though to build alliances with other houses via marriage. So, already thinking with my Total War hat.
There you go. What about you, Miss Hart?
I was trying to think like what could be interesting based on my favorite movies, and it's really fucked up, but what about like a point and click adventure but based on like Seven?
Oh, that'd be great.
You gotta go find the clues and put pieces together to figure out who the mystery Joe is and all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure if you could actually technically still follow the story because it'd be like spoilers already, but
what's in the box?
You click the box. Your wife's
Press
head
A.
is in the box.
Press A to find out what's in the box.
Just like Gwyneth Paltrow. Anyway.
Absolutely fantastic film though, my goodness.
Yeah, it's been a while.
My goodness. One of the best thrillers of this generation, or even sort of last generation now when you think about it, because it was 97, I think.
Yeah, that
around
sounds
there.
about right.
Yeah.
It's like in my top 5 favorite movies, which is pretty fucked up, I know.
Oh, and by far one of the top 5 sexiest Brad Pitt films. He's
yeah.
so like scrumptious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Followed
was prime Pitt days.
Followed up by 12 Monkeys, Brad Pitt. Oof.
Yeah, and then Legends
Even with
of the
crazy
Fall
eyes.
Brad Pitt. Legends of the Fall Brad Pitt, I think, is the quintessential Brad Pitt. That guy rolling in, bareback on a horse with like shirt off and shit. Man. I used to have a shrine in my house dedicated to Brad Pitt.
Wow, okay.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I moved in and it was there. I moved in and it was already there, but then I became a convert. I was like, yeah, I can get on board with Brad Pitt.
Did you add more to the shrine?
No, but I used to pray in front of it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was a bit high.
Pray to the pit.
I was 21. I was a little bit high. But it was
a lot a bit high by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Those were good times.
What do you pray to Brad Pitt about? Like, what do you say to him?
Just trying to look more like him. Just how do I do that? It's very hard out here for a Middle Eastern descent individual to make it work with long flowing locks and a beard that just won't stop growing. You know?
I have a better chance.
Yeah. So anyway, he helped me out a lot though, spiritually. Brad Pitt.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brad Pitt.
Thanks, man.
The Zen master.
Legend. Just goddamn legend. Can't wait for the new Tarantino film. I know we're tangent.
Yes.
We're off on a huge tangent here, but yeah.
My bad.
The random gamers today. That's what's going on.
Oh, Brendan and Ali, what are your games? Sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
thanks, mate.
I'm the reason why we went on the Brad Pitt tangent. Mine was 7. Brendan didn't get to say his.
That's right.
Yeah, like I've thought about this, and I definitely feel the horror route would be a good way to go. And I think something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in that sort of Outlast-based realm where you are defenseless and you're pretty much running, hiding. Leatherface is chasing you through, you know, the cornfields and the backwoods and the decrepit houses and all that. I think that could be pretty nuts. Like, you just hear the chainsaw winding up, getting close, and him and his family coming at you. I think that'd be fucking terrifying.
House of 1,000 Corpses would be great because you'd have different creepy people chasing after you as well. Actually, I think Rob
Captain
Zombie did do
Spaulding
it.
coming after you.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah. Ugh. So something like that, I thought. I thought of going the other way and doing like, just thinking of like 80s or early 90s action films just as hectic first-person shooters, like doing Commando into a video game where it's just your Arnie going to save your daughter on some island and just mowing down hundreds upon hundreds of people.
What about like Demolition Man with Stallone?
Oh, yes.
And
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
What's your buggle?
Well, hang on. That's prime time, though, that movies did get made into video games, whether they deserved them or not. So
That was on the SNES. They did a Demolition Man game on the SNES.
because I was going to actually just be like, oh, John Wick. But hey, that is being made into a game, so...
Yes. I watched John Wick 2 on the weekend. It was on Foxtel, and I just love them films.
Oh,
Just
so
love them
good.
films. But one thing I noticed, especially in 2, general population don't care what's going on. Like, there's people dying in the subways and shootouts, and people are just still trying to get on the train to get home. Like, they don't give no shits.
It's
Hey,
like
the economy, man.
You have to really suspend, like, what is it? You have to suspend disbelief when you're watching these films because they make no sense. Like, the idea that the secret society could work is never, like, it's not a realistic thing. But it's fun. It's so fun. Like that scene where him and Common are like just shooting at each other through the waterfall.
Yeah,
Like through the
and no one cares around
feature. It's just cool though. There's just like little bullets going like through the water. That's what you watch John Wick for. Not
And no civilian deaths in that scene either.
Yeah, that's how good they are.
Yeah, the professional kills. Come on.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, man. They're expensive.
All right. Let's move on. Tell us about what you've been playing, what you've been doing this week. Dream, lead us off.
I'm very much in the nil category this week. I am in the fantastic ramp up towards exams. So all of my free time is being dedicated there. However, I did find the time to watch Black Mirror season 3, which I can
season
5. Season 5. What did I say? I think John Wick 3 got me on the anyway. So,
I too have watched those 3 episodes.
I saw that that's something that you listed there as well. I might, maybe we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I also found time to wrap up the solo content in Hearthstone. In short, fantastic. It really is. I think this is the best solo content to be released in Hearthstone. It's been a slow roll. Over 4 weeks, they've released new wings in the content. it's just been good. So again, 15 packs. You get a legendary, which is a lot of fun. It's not really like meta worthy, but it's a hell of a lot of fun to play with. It's worth, I think, I paid $30 AU. I bought it off of my iPhone though, and I know that there's a bit of an added charge there, so it's probably a little bit cheaper if you buy it in browser on PC. It'll certainly be cheaper in other parts of the world as well. It's just really good. It's a lot of fun. They do solo content in Hearthstone really well. I can't recommend it more. But that's it for me. Brendan, do you want to maybe jump into BMS05?
I would be happy to. So I finished A Plague Tale this week. So really, really, really loved my time with that. Anyone that missed last episode and wanted to get a bit of a feel of what the game's about, check out episode 153. We talk about it for probably 10 or so minutes last ep. Really, really great game. Very, very pleasantly surprised with this little indie gem that's popped out of nowhere from Asobo Studios. So give it a look. It's on Xbox One, it's on PlayStation 4 and on PC. As I said, it's not the full AAA price-based experience, but you are getting sort of that indie AAA vibe akin to Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Is that sort of sleeper hit, I think, that's going to win a lot more awards come the end of the year. And it's definitely should be on everyone's radar. So finish that. Outside of that, been playing some more Oculus Quest. Still great. Still loving the wireless VR experience. Just been chucking anybody I can into it just to sort of experience VR for the first time. So put my mum into the VR, put her partner Darren into the VR, watch them play like Fruit Ninja and the roller coasters and Beat Saber and all that. And it's just hilarious, but also adoring to see them just feel this instant level of immersion. Like, game boots up and you just see them like doing little head tilts and looking around, and like, you hear these like, wow, whoa, and reaching out to things, and jumping back from stuff getting in their face. And it's such an underrated experience to see people that don't game or don't play VR or have touched VR and anything like that, and then just head first into it, and it just blows people's minds. So it's been nice watching them experience that. And then on the topic of watching, obviously Handmaid's Tale came back this week, so watched the first 3 episodes of season 3. Fantastic, check it out. Watched the season finale of Chernobyl this week. Must watch viewing for that show. Fuck, that show's magic.
Can I tell you, so I did the Forever Movie Boys podcast last week, and we did Godzilla. I actually did that on Monday. Out now. They recommended Chernobyl, so I went home and I thought I watched the first episode, but because of the way Fox puts them on, just on the dashboard there, I was actually watching. I watched the last episode, and it made sense. Yeah, but the thing was that you could make enough sense of it that you would assume that that's like maybe an episode 1 episode, and I feel like I've ruined it. It was fantastic though. Like I followed along the whole way. It was really interesting. It's very enlightening. And then I watched a bit of the first episode, and I could see they go to different places. It's not all just set in the courtroom. But fuck, that's
it's only 5 episodes, but it is fantastic television. Some of the best I've seen in a long time.
Get some information from you guys because I want to watch it, but someone let me know because they know me very well. They said, "Look, there's an episode where there might be some doggy deaths." So I haven't watched it.
Probably.
Do you want me to confirm this or deny this right now, or?
Yeah, if you can tell me what episode, if it possibly.
I think it's the third
episode.
Third episode. Yeah. There's a bit of that in that in an episode. I'm pretty sure it's the third. There is obviously a lot of animal deaths because of the fucking radiation circulating around Europe at the time.
I know. Regardless of the circumstance, I can't handle doggy death. So, yeah.
They'll lead into it. So if you are watching it, you'll know what's happening in this scene. So you could look away for 5 minutes or whatever.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but it's worth a watch.
I can start watching it then.
Yeah, this show took me by surprise. Like, heard about it loosely. Then we just watched the first episode. I was just all in right off the jump. It's so well put together. The acting is fantastic. Knowing that it is based off truths is another thing. Like just seeing this hardship and just the stuff that this society, like the Russians went through and what they were, trying to cover up and
Soviets,
deal with and everything. It's something.
But
check it out. 1,000,000% check it out. And yeah, Black Mirror, you said dreamy. Season 5, first 3 episodes dropped this 2 days ago or something like that.
I was blown away. I wasn't even expecting it. And then I got a little update on my phone to say, Netflix suggestion for you, Black Mirror Season 5. I was like, yeah. Oh, man. 3 episodes, and we won't spoil anything at all. Should we talk loosely about the premises of episodes? Do you think that's okay?
Yeah, like we could say that the first episode's based around video game virtual reality, funnily enough. Leave it at that. The second one ties heavily into reliance on mobile phones, dependency on social media. Then the third one is about, I guess, looking behind the curtain of the whole celebrity thing. It's probably the best way you describe them. Really good episodes. I think the seasons are getting progressively weaker after season 3, in my opinion, though. But yeah, there was some good viewing here. They're longer episodes. They're all an hour each. Yeah. So it's longer viewing, but good little bangers. I really did enjoy the first 2 episodes in particular, and I think, as we talked about maybe a bit earlier, the third episode seems to be the weakest of the 3, but it's still really interesting, and it's done really well. And I think in particular, because that episode 3 looks at celebrity, and it's Miley Cyrus who's at the center of that episode, I think that there are some very interesting parallels between what's going on in the episode and what she would have gone through during the whole Hannah Montana phase of her life. I think they're really smart. My favorite by far is the second episode. I think that what it sets up is essentially a hostage situation, and where it goes and the characters it introduces and the level of information and detail that everyone has access to. I just think it's so clever and so interesting. And I think the thing that's particularly chilling about that episode is that, unlike the rest of the Black Mirror episodes, which are set in some kind of zany universe, there's no futuristic sci-fi technology in this one. This could happen today. And it would go down. I'm not saying it would go down the way it went down in that episode, but there's no added sci-fi elements to this episode. It's very believable that it could happen in today's world. So I love it. I don't agree that they're weaker necessarily. I didn't like season 4, but I do think these 3 episodes are a lot better, and it seems to be a lot more focused than the last season. So I'm gonna rewatch them. I love them so much. Highly recommend people check them out. Ali, you have to check the whole thing out.
I know.
Yeah, there are some absolute bangers. Absolute bangers.
I'll have to catch up.
But Ali, what have you been doing? I see you've been playing some stuff, watching some stuff too.
Yeah, been busy at it. So I'm going to let the audience know it's that favourite topic you love me talking about, Destiny 2. This week they actually had a bunch of announcements and, a lot of stuff kind of coming out this week. So it was pretty hype. So a lot of people from the Destiny community that might have fallen off, myself included, actually have jumped back on. Destiny, Bungie announced that they're going to be releasing some DLC in, I believe it's September. It's called Shadowkeep. And pretty much we're going back to the moon because the moon's haunted. So, everyone's kind of preparing for that. And there was also a bunch of details in regards to now that Bungie's their own thing. They don't have to worry about the big A. They release a lot of content based on what they want to do and how they do want to listen to the players and how they do want to provide. And, they talked about cross-saving. They talked about creating free Destiny 2 based content. Well, actually Destiny, because a lot of the content that they brought up, a lot of stuff is from Destiny 1, where, you wake up with your ghost. So they talked about that free. Yeah. Well, you know what? I didn't get that clarified, but I'm sure they've already, dubbed over him, which is sad.
Later, Dink.
I preferred him. Anywho, so yeah, it's an exciting time for Destiny players again, bringing us all back. So I've actually been jumping back on. I was very lost, so I want to give a big thanks to my little group of Destiny players who got me back on and got me slowly leveled up. And we will be looking forward to the new content jumping September 17th. So,
can I ask, when does it become free to play?
I think that will also be happening in September. It will also be moving on to Steam.
Off of you know what? As you were talking, it reminded me, and I just opened up the Blizzard the Battle.net game launcher. It's still on there. So is it moving off of there eventually? Surely it would be.
Yeah. So they're actually talking about moving on to Steam. And the other thing is that they've also allowed cross save. So a lot of people who may have started playing Destiny on their PlayStation, but maybe moved onto PC playing, they can now like take their saves and save between, you know, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and that stuff. So apparently Activision didn't let that happen.
Well, really?
Implied.
They got in the way of
They
that?
implied. They implied.
That would have tied into those bloody timed release agreements and exclusives they signed with Sony, I reckon.
You reckon? Yeah, well.
What
Either way.
With the free to play, I really missed all of the news on this week. Is that everything, including all of the expansion releases? It's not. Brendan's giving me a big old nah.
Because it's being referred to as Destiny 2 New Light. And that includes Curse of Osiris and Warmind. I think you do have to purchase Forsaken, and this new content, which is Shadowkeep, that would also have to be purchased as well. So I think Forsaken is like $30, and this one might be going for like $50, I think.
Would you recommend it?
I mean, Forsaken was pretty good, and Shadowkeep looks amazing, especially going back to the moon. We haven't been there in quite some time, and you're essentially you're fighting old bosses, so it's kind of like going through your worst nightmares, which is going through your old bosses. So it looks fun. It looks great. I'm looking forward to this, you know, this new avenue where Bungie's back in control of their content. So it should be good.
Awesome.
Yeah, you could see the genuine excitement in a lot of those sort of developer diaries where they're...
Which I recommend watching for some people.
Showing their enthusiasm about self-publishing this game and stuff, being free of, as you said, the big Activision, Blizzard Activision sort of shadow over them. They're stepping out of that now and bringing out new content. And the cross-save thing, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people are happy about that.
You know, we all know plenty of people that are big Destiny or Destiny 2 fans, but they're playing on Xbox or PC or PS4, but being able to now jump across those platforms with your save and your character, I think is fantastic. For continually blurring those lines and being able to play anywhere as the main buzzwords are around the industry. So I think it's pretty cool, and giving the game as a free to play model, I think that's going to really help get Destiny sort of dug in. Like, you know, we've been talking about Dauntless on and off the last couple of weeks as well, which is a similar model, free to play, cross-platform as far as your saves. That's where Destiny's shifting towards as well. So I think there's going to be some good longevity into this. They did sort of mention Destiny 3, but outside of that, they didn't say when. It seemed very down the line. Like, I think they're trying to breathe a bit more life into Destiny 2 and more expansions. So Destiny 3 might not be till, I don't know, 2022 or something like that, just spitballing. But it's good to see that they've got this new focus and vigor and trying to deliver the game that they want to release for fans.
No, 100%. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this. Big Destiny fan, but I hated the fact that I had to drop off because of everything that was happening, and it was really honestly losing my interest. So I'm glad that I've got the hype back. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for the new content and so forth.
Still one of the best shooters out there.
Definitely.
I maintain that playing the end of Destiny 1 with you, Brendan, and our mate, I think, is it Ben from Queensland? Not Benny, but your mate. He was just an absolute gun at it. Anyway, just playing was
so
much fun.
I think it was Ricey, wasn't it?
Ricey, that's it. Sorry, Ricey. Yeah. But just even then, and that was like probably as the game was winding up and leading into Destiny 2. It was fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's lots of fun. And you know what, in the same aspect, I can see why a lot of people would hate on it. I also didn't appreciate being constantly bombarded for money for new content and all the other stuff that kind of happened. So yeah, looking forward to this new avenue.
Yeah.
Talking about a game that plays well, I played Kirby's Adventure for the first time.
Little Kirby.
Yeah, so I figured I actually pay money for that, you know, Nintendo Switch content where you get those additional SNES games or NES games, I think they are. and I saw Kirby's Adventures on there, and I realized I've never played that game before. It's fun. It's a little bit of a pain in my ass, though. It controls really badly, or maybe I'm just bad at it. Have either of you guys played it? I thought I was actually gonna. Oh, I thought I was actually gonna be like getting ridiculed for like, really, you haven't played that? So
nah, like a lot of those old platformers, they really do not translate to these sort of modern day ports. Like it was the same. Some of the controllers in sort of, you think of when they did the Crash trilogy, was a bit janky and a bit floaty, and I can't really remember much. Like that was early 90s, mid 90s, I think Kirby's Adventure, 93, 94, something like that. So my dexterity and muscle memory has obviously slowed from when I was in my prime at probably 7, 8 years old. So I don't know how it translates today, but I do remember dying a bit in that game as a kid. So yeah, I can certainly relate.
Yeah, I think for me it's more like controller mapping, I think maybe. It's just like coordinating between jump and then actually, you know how he does the floaty thing where he actually jumps and he flies around.
Yeah,
my coordination, exactly, it's absolutely onco. But I think I need to start making a solid effort to actually just play all these like NES games that I never played because I was a Sega kid. So
there's some gems there.
There are some pretty good ones in there. I realized that Zelda was in there.
I was watching a Metroid stream, like a speedrun the other day.
Oh yeah.
And I never played any Metroid games. Man, they are so. It just looks so good, and it was super cool watching this guy just smash through it. It made me really appreciate speedrunners again. Like every time you see a speedrun, you're just like, all right, I get it, you're great. But literally it's like every part of the map is known. Every like little section, he had to blow up certain areas that aren't obvious. Just crazy. Just so crazy to watch. Yeah. I should have got that guy's name and give him a proper shout out. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was about to say I watched someone do a speedrun of Super Mario 64 and I've forgotten his name. It's like Binzy or something. Binzy.
They do something in that where they constantly like do that like bum slide hop or something, like, right? There's a trick.
Yeah, there's a ton of tricks that they know where it's like if you press on this certain corner, what it will do is it will actually launch you right onto this star over here, and then you can time it so then you bounce onto the other star, so you collect 2 stars one round. I'm like, what the fuck?
Have you ever seen a Legend of Zelda? Have you ever seen a I think it's Ocarina? Is it Ocarina? Yeah.
Time?
Have you ever seen Ocarina of Time speedruns? They constantly like back hop, double hop back because it's faster than walking forward. So the whole time you can't see anything that's going on. You just see this like double hop back, double hop to the side. It's so fucking hard to watch. But then all of a sudden it's like they're at the Deku Tree and they've got the Master Sword and it's like 3 minutes in. You're like, what is going on right now? Anyway,
2 seconds.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm actually gonna look for an Ocarina of Time speedrun because the Mario 64 one blew my mind. So
I think it's like 18 minutes is the world record,
Jeez.
if I remember correctly. Yeah,
that's insane.
That is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah,
that is insane.
I'll throw in the quick 2 things that I watched, and so we can actually get into the news. I watched the apparent shitstorm that was Dark Phoenix.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Shitstorm confirmed, denied.
What I'm going to say is that it's not that terrible, and I say that in quotation marks. To me, it was very much like any of the other X-Men movies, not obviously including the Wolverine one. That one's epic. No, just the other X-Men movies. I say it's not terrible. They could have gone with just not making the movie. We could have done without it, to be honest. But it's not terrible. Like, you could definitely see yourself at home watching it and, you know, having some pizza and stuff.
Do you know sort of the Dark Phoenix story lines and stuff from the comics?
No, so from when I was in where I was reading the comics when I was younger, she already kind of went through all that and she was having like relationship problems and all that sort of stuff. So she already kind of been through that phase and people knew her as Phoenix, like that being her other side. So
Yeah. Can you tell me does she destroy any suns in this movie? If that
no.
a massive spoiler.
How many suns are there?
No, as in like physical suns that warm planets and solar systems.
No.
Because that was like part of how she got power, like was so strong and things. She actually consumed suns in the galaxy to heighten her powers. So she's pretty much
not a
fucking
sun.
gangster.
not a son per se.
Okay.
But, yeah. There's not really a lot of focus on that so much. To be honest, it felt like it was like, who could you give ultimate power to? Who would be the worst person? And it would be a conflicting young female who isn't sure about herself, Like, yeah. So, yeah, it was really put off. So
I thought she was a bit older when in the comics when the Phoenix Saga happens. She's an adult.
I thought so too.
Yeah,
I thought so too.
I just think they ran out of. Sorry.
Oh, definitely this movie's a last-ditch effort before, Disney pick it up?
Yeah, before the soft reboot happens.
It got sold halfway through production, though. So they probably weren't even aware it was happening when they were writing it, at least. Yeah.
I don't think they were aware of anything that was happening, to be honest. Yeah, so probably a bad send-off, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's the worst fucking movie. It wasn't. I've seen way worse movies, so...
Like The Dead Don't Die?
The Dead Don't Die. This is like I wouldn't say it's indie, but like it was, a lot of people probably saw the trailer and thought it was a joke. A lot of good actors in it. Just a very generic zombie film in the middle of the nowhere in country America. The premise was good. The execution was badly delivered, and not even great actors could save it. It's a lot of tongue-in-cheek, and like... They're obviously, making a lot of fun on tropes, but there's a point where you kind of get over it.
Is it sort of like in the same vein as like a Zombieland?
Like a Zombieland, like a Shaun of the Dead, like kind of like following the rule books, like pointing out the stereotypical things that happen in zombie films or horror films, like, that kind of thing. But, like with those films that kind of like make fun of it, they kind of get over it. With this movie, I feel like they just really keep like...
Back to the well.
With it. Yeah, so unfortunately after a while you just kind of get over it, which is a shame. I did want to like this one. So.
Yeah, it's got old Adam Driver as the lead in that film, right?
That's right, yeah. It's got good old Bill as well, but
Bill Murray.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah.
He's old. Yeah.
Can I before we move on, did either of you watch Deadwood, the movie?
I haven't yet.
I
haven't. I intend to today, and I cannot wait for it.
I love it. That's all I'll say. Thought it was
That's
really
all
good.
I need. That's all I need. That just warms my hang die heart right now. I cannot wait.
Fucking hang die. Anyway, all right. So yeah, watch it. Everyone watch it. Rewatch 3 seasons of Deadwood and then the movie that just came out.
Heck yeah. So Ms. Hart, would you, on those 2 movies, would you say that either of them are worth paying the money to go to the cinema for, or would you just say wait till you watch it online?
Stream it, buy it on DVD. I wouldn't go to the cinema unless you got like a free ticket or a half price ticket or something like that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Fair call. And both yourselves as well. Godzilla, you've now both seen that. Would you both say go to the cinema for that, or would you say wait and watch it on Foxtel or Netflix?
Yeah, I still only say go to the cinema because it's meant to be a big monster film. So I feel like you have to kind of watch it on a big screen, but go on Tight Ass Tuesday. Or get a date to pay for it.
Yeah, trick someone.
Trick someone.
So I did an episode of Forever Movie Boys with Marche and Toby about this movie, and I suggested it, and I felt awful the whole way through watching that film. Like we wanted to do a tongue-in-cheek one anyway, and I thought this would be a good candidate. But by God, is it kind of hard to sit through? It's the sort of film where I was pretty loaded when I was watching it. I got very drunk. But there were parts in the film where I was like, where are we right now? What's going on? Like, genuinely not sure of the things happening.
How did we get here?
I don't think that was the beers. I think that's just poor editing. But one of the things I will say, there are some good sort of kaiju moments. There's some particularly beautiful imagery. I just feel like the film's probably leaning into servicing that a bit more. Not really worth seeing in the cinemas, but if there's nothing else to do, trick someone and get out there. But what it sets up, which is coming out next year, that I had no idea
get tricked again.
about,
yeah,
it's Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, like righto, here we go again.
Do you remember seeing that? I saw that with you, right, Brendan? King Kong Skull Island. Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait for this film. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe we'll get like a Godzilla versus Kong versus Rampage crossover next, and we'll see The Rock come back.
I love that. I love that.
canon?
Rampage is my favorite of these films so far.
Oh, that's not saying much.
It's no, just because like at least Rampage acknowledges somewhat the death of the civilians. So here's the thing: in Rampage, all these people die because of whatever the white gorilla's name is again, but no one cares at the end. In
George.
Godzilla, they don't even fucking acknowledge it. Like, there are kaiju monster titans going off in like 14 major cities. No one talks about the death toll once. You don't even see civilians.
Not the death
for
toll,
the most part.
no.
Yeah.
They do mention briefly about like, you know,
Evacuating
some people
the city,
dying.
going
Yeah,
underground.
but then after that, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, it's like surely billions are dead right now, but not a word.
Oh, yeah.
Not a word. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to go on that long about that.
Only people caring about the action. You know, that's what it comes down to. They want the flash and the sizzle and the pizzazz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're going to give you listeners a bit of that right now with some of this.
iTunes Review of the Week.
And this iTunes review comes to us via way of Grocs Blech, or Grocs Blech, who I actually know as JT over on the Twitters. And the headline reads, "The Real Deal, 5 stars." And the review itself reads, which is a fantastic read, I must say. "Hey guys, I've been listening to you for a long time and love your frank and at times funny discussions around geek culture and gaming. What I'm most impressed with is that you are genuine and have a real passion for games. I'm also very impressed at how approachable you are on the socials too. I had a couple of questions about the Oculus Quest and you were quite happy to reply. Anyways, congrats to all 3 of the regulars in making this a podcast I love listening to every week." So JT, aka Grocs Blech or Grocs Blech, thank you for the review. These reviews certainly mean an absolute bucket load to us. As I say, it keeps those emotional lights on in our hearts. So be sure to rate, review, subscribe us on your podcast hosting platforms, as well as reviewing all the podcasts in the hashtag 8bit Collective, or those podcasts you just listen to generally, because it means an awful lot. But what do you guys think? Is that one of the best reviews we've ever had, or what?
I think JT is super kind. Super kind. And obviously only talking about you there, Brendan, with the Oculus Quest. I think I look at my Twitter once every 3 months. So
That's true.
If you
That's being
message me,
generous.
dude, don't be upset. I'm not ignoring you. I gotta be better, JT. And you make me want to be a better man. A better respondent on Twitter. Brad Pitt wouldn't do this to his fans. I'll step up for you, man. Thank you very much for the review.
Yeah, that's a
100%. And I'm hoping that our Oculus Quest you ended up buying has landed at your doorstep and you are enjoying it over this past weekend, because it is a hell of a time. But yeah, hit me up on the Twitters, let me know how that goes, because I'm curious to see your opinions on it as well. Hopefully I didn't oversell it and you're disappointed. I'm hoping you're feeling as good as I was playing this quest.
Wouldn't it be
Hungry
amazing
Gamers,
if next
thank
week
you for
there's an
your bad
amended review?
advice.
The review's like 1 star next week because of the Oculus Quest. Anyway,
Oculus Quest, more like Oculus Pest.
Wow, that wasn't bad. Oh yeah,
It's all right.
1 star.
Something else that is all right. It is fantastic. Head on over to patreon.com/weare8bit. Throw some cash behind us if you can. Starting from $1, you get early access to the bi-monthly 8-bit cast. We just recorded the episode 9 of the 8-bit cast, I should say, with myself, Ali, and Trevor from Bitstorm. And we talk about things that we suck at, no matter how hard we try, and then flip the script and talk about things that we're good at that we assume we would be terrible at. It's pretty good and pretty insightful, and we go down some interesting paths and tangents. So that episode will be dropping on 15th of June, and episode 8 will be released in full on June 15 as well, and that stars NATO and Salim the Dream here doing a very pokey-centric episode. Maybe give us the quick elevator pitch on that episode before we start moving on into the news.
Well, NATO is the #1 Pokemon master in all of Fremantle, and I'm the #1 Pokemon master everywhere else that matters in the world. We decided to go head-to-head to see who knows more about Pokemon. Spoiler alert, it probably is NATO. That guy is a nerd on it's ridiculous the stuff he knows. But I do want to say I got mine in there too. I had a couple of really obscure facts that I brought to the table. Anyway, it's a little bit of a fun competition between he and I to see who knows more about a franchise that we love so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good listen. And thank you for everyone that is already supporting us on the Patreon, because it does mean an awful lot and it helps us cover the costs for these podcast hosting services and things like that. So thank you to everyone that is already throwing your support behind us. And if you can't support us monetarily, just be sure to, share the podcast, circulate us amongst your friends and family, because that will go an awfully long way to keeping us relevant in those charts as well. So thank you to everyone there. And one last quick shout out before we move into the news. Wanted to mention Drew and Bryce from the House of Mario podcast for reaching the 100 episode milestone.
Woo!
Yeah. Big congratulations. They're two of the best blokes in the podcast game. Good friends of ours. 100 episodes in the pipe now, so good on them. Well worth a listen. It is, I think, their longest episode they've ever done, so be sure to blank out the afternoon, get some snacks, get comfortable on the couch or in the bed, chuck them into your ears and let them invade your hearts for about 2.5 hours worth of House of Mario goodness. So, shout out to Drew and Bryce and
Solid
the
effort.
House of Mario podcast. Now let's get into some news.
This week's news headlines.
All right. The first few bits we're going to ring up today is all about the leaks. My goodness, E3 2019 is going to be less surprising by the minute. It seems every hour or every day there has been leaks on leaks on leaks from various publishers and developers out there, whether it be via way of disgruntled staff, just people peeking laptop screens on subway station rides, who knows. But the first things that have come out of the gate, Bandai Namco, the leak has revealed 3 games, 2 which are brand new, and 1 is a remaster. So Ni no Kuni, the previous PlayStation 4 exclusive, is getting remastered, and it's going to be available on the PC, on the Xbox One, and allegedly coming to the Nintendo Switch as well, which I think is pretty freaking great.
Yeah.
The other 2, Tales of Arise, and the last one, Elden Ring, which I think is pretty big time. Elden Ring is a collaboration between From Software and George R.R. Martin, and apparently it's going to be, in quotes, From Software's largest game to date, and it's going to be a fantasy action RPG adventure set within a world created by George R.R. Martin and Hideki Miyazaki, which is the Dark Souls creator. So that one is pretty huge. I think it's certainly the cherry on top.
Can I tell you what makes me mad about that leak the most? Someone needs to strap George R.R. Martin, that motherfucker, down, and he needs to finish that goddamn book. That's what needs to happen. I don't want him suffering like a coronary, because he looks like he could have a coronary at any moment. I want that book, George. I don't want this game. Give me the book.
I think he just waited.
Wings of Winter.
Do you think the book's finished and he's just been waiting to see the reactions and how the show plays out, and based off the potential positive or negative spin on that finale, changing his book slightly to get more fan service?
I don't know that he's intentionally doing that, but yeah, I do have something doesn't sit right with me at all about the way that this has all happened, that the series was adapted before it was completed, and he gets that kind of that insight into how people respond to the ending before he's actually finished it. There's something a bit icky about that. It feels a bit cheap, but either way, man, just finish the goddamn book. Just stop.
He don't care now. He's got that HBO money, and now he's got some From Software money. Like, he is just rolling in it. Like, he don't give no shits anymore.
This graphic for Elden Ring, it's just a very, very simple graphic that they've released, but it looks badass. It has me curious.
Looks pretty metal, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks very metal. It does look like a cover of like some band that I probably would have bought.
I thought it was an ESO thing at a glance. I thought it was like an Elder Scrolls Online thing for a moment.
Especially the text they've used for the Elden Ring. It's very Elder Scrolls Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me a, what do they call it? A fantasy action RPG adventure. Like, I'm all about that. If it's sort of plays similar to a Souls or a Sekiro, but it's a little bit more forgivable, a little bit more accessible, I'm all about that. So let's see when we get this official announcement this week at E3. Maybe a gameplay trailer, who knows? But I think that's pretty big. Did you guys play any of the previous Tales entries, or are you sort of pretty new to that franchise as well?
Absolutely new of that franchise. Same with Ni no Kuni. I've never played it, but hearing it go on the Switch, that might be my opportunity.
Ni no Kuni is... You look at that game, you know how sort of where Pokemon Sword and Shield is going to now? That's where Ni no Kuni was on the PlayStation 4 several years back. Like, it is, nice open world, catching animals, battling them. You do jump between... human universe and this sort of mythological monster-based world as well. The great thing too is they've got some writers from Studio Ghibli that puts that franchise together, so it's got a really nice anime nature to it. I'm down to play that again on the Switch. That would be fucking brilliant.
That looks great. I'll definitely check out that opportunity.
Yeah, some other leaks. This big one for me, Baldur's Gate 3. Which has been leaked. Was based around the Google Stadia sort of presser, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. But they showed a pretty impressive CGI trailer. Ran about 2 minutes. I have no skin in this franchise game, but the trailer certainly made me sort of stop for a minute and pay attention and go, you know what, I need to check what this is about. So talked to a few guys online. NATO messaged me a little bit about it, and it's, D&D centric.
It is.
It looks great, man.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate is apparently a place based in the D&D universe. So.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I've played it. I've played Baldur's Gate 2.
I played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. It's a very epic tale, but like I'm curious if someone else is taking it over, like the guys from Divinity, original.
Yeah. The original Sin guys.
Yeah.
They'll do good.
I'm curious. What?
I think they'll do a great job of it.
Oh, I thought you said they wouldn't. I'm like, oh no, tell me that.
No.
I never played that game. I've seen people play it. I've seen people get really obsessed with it. So I trust it's in good hands. If they're big Baldur's Gate fans themselves, then hopefully it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's like to say that it's set within D&D, well, the D&D universe is like, it's totally true. Like, it's one of the... I'm not an expert on D&D games, but I did the character creation for Baldur's Gate 2 only a few years ago because I was just, I don't know, I had like a weird itch. It's so dense. It's as dense as doing character creation in D&D almost. And yeah, it's like, it's the most complicated Diablo style game. I say that and people will probably cringe, but like as an isometric RPG, it's incredibly dense. It's like, it's just, I remember a guy selling it to me in like 1999. He's like, look, if you just want to click things, get Diablo 2. If you actually want to have fun and play Baldur's Gate 2. I was like, oh,
Baldur's Gate had a fantastic story. Yeah, it had a fantastic story and wonderful style, like graphically and like just art design. It was really good. But it was really nice.
Even as far back then, you're dealing with things like people's nature, like chaotic good, true neutral, true evil. Like it's just got systems in systems. That's why I say the guys, who is it that does Divinity 2?
What's the name of the company? Hang on.
I forget. But I know that game is incredibly complicated as well, having spoken to someone,
Larian Studios.
That's it.
There we go. So I feel like that's a good home for it, Baldur's Gate 3. And it does look cool. The trailer looked awesome, dude. There's like crazy void Cthulhu
Mind Flayers.
Mind Flayers, that's what they're called.
Because that's what got me. I saw that and I'm like, oh, hello. So I chucked it out there and I got bloody ran down in the streets for not knowing what that was and what this franchise is about. But I'm now up to date with what a Mind Flayer is and what this franchise is about, and it's a staple of the D&D lore and all that kind of stuff. So I'm keen to see more of this. I don't know when we will though, because this was on the back of sort of the Stadia announcements, which I guess we could sort of jump into and then jump back to a few of the other bits because it sort of segued nicely from there. So this comes via way of Engadget by writer Nick Summers. Google Stadia launches this November with $130 USD Founders Edition. Google has revealed pricing and availability for Stadia, its highly anticipated game streaming service. The technology giant will launch a special Founders Edition for $129.99 sometime in November 2019. The pack, available to pre-order now, will come with a Chromecast Ultra, limited edition Night Blue controller, in quotes, first dibs on a Stadia username, and 2 3-month Stadia Pro subscriptions, one for you and a friend. Stadia Pro will otherwise cost $9.99 per month and grants access to Google's library at up to 4K resolution and 60 frames per second with HDR and 5.1 surround sound. There will also be Stadia Base available next year that lets you buy and keep individual games. These purchases will be capped at 1080p resolution and 60 frames per second with stereo sound. Stadia will be available in selected countries, but sadly, at time of writing, Australia not being one of them. Google also announced its first wave of Stadia launch titles, and there is an absolute bucket load of games on there, some that have been out for quite some time. Just a few worth mentioning. Doom Eternal, which will be sort of a day one release, 2016 release of Doom. Rage 2, Elder Scrolls Online, Wolfenstein New Blood. Destiny 2, which is a free pack-in with the game at launch. Metro Exodus, Thumper, Farming Simulator, the Tomb Raider collection of games, Borderlands 3, Mortal Kombat 11, Tom Clancy's Division 2, so on and so forth. So,
Final Fantasy 15, you're right, yeah, go on.
So, yeah, Google's event this past week, Stadia. The price, I think, for the unit itself is pretty attractive enough that I know that someone on this podcast may or may not have pre-ordered one of these bad boys.
The benefits of moving country at a certain point in time. Exclusivity, I get to bring that. Yes, pre-ordered. So I'll get to see what it is all about.
Cool. Yeah, like it looks good. The controller reminds me of a hybrid between an Xbox One controller and sort of the Switch Pro controller. I like the look of it. I like this limited edition Night Blue color scheme they're releasing at launch. I think it looks really sexy. The pricing looks okay. It's interesting that they're going to sting you $9.99 USD per month just to get upscaled graphics, the high dynamic range, and then the 5.1 surround sound. But then sort of looking at that in more detail, they've already released some numbers where if you're going to play for every 65 hours of gameplay you have on the Stadia, that's going to use 1 terabyte of data. 1 terabyte, which is 1,000 gigabytes for those people playing at home. Like, that is an absolute fucking bucket load of data. So make sure your internet carriers have been able to handle that kind of bandwidth.
A little bit unlimited, yeah. There's a lot of things that I'm a bit iffy about, especially with it being like you're paying for a streaming service. So, but I like the idea of it being accessible anywhere. I don't know if I'd play it on a phone. That's the one thing that they were pushing. Like, you can play it on the phone. I said, I don't think I want to play a really detailed game on my phone and just be squinting all the time. But you know, with the iPad or anything else like that, that would be actually pretty good. But yeah, that data usage is absolutely terrifying. There's also mentioned that using the controller, if you buy the controller, like, you might have to also have the Chromecast Ultra for it to actually be accessible with certain things. So yeah, that, like, some people might buy the controller and wonder why it might not work. I've already heard misconception about people thinking that if they get it, they'll be able to play 4K, but not have a 4K TV. So they reckon that they reckon
you
that
fucking idiots.
Yeah, they reckon that misunderstanding is going to happen quite a lot. So it's going to be an interesting time. It's going to be interesting to see, like, everyone's experience with it, whether it succeeds or not. I just want to see how it goes. Like, I think it's a positive direction to go in regards to accessibility and gaming on the go, but with everything, it's probably going to need a lot of fine-tuning after the initial release.
Yeah, like, I think the cost point's pretty digestible. I think that's a fair price for getting access to Stadia and having your sort of your all-in-one device via this Night Blue controller. It's interesting that you're only able to get this Founders Edition from the jump. They don't have sort of the Stadia base coming out with it as well to allow sort of, I guess, offline savings to keep those individual games from a local perspective if you are maybe starved of the old interwebs, because you're going to need about 35 meg a second download speeds to sort of get that 4K 60 FPS. So you're going to need some pretty healthy internet. And like there's parts of Australia that can do that, obviously, but yeah, it is very few and far between. But US, parts of UK and Europe, part of sort of that initial launch cycle for selected countries. But yeah, November. So what are we now? June. So we're within a 5-month release window of Stadia. It's going to be very interesting to see how it's perceived. I'm curious to see how the initial run of pre-orders is going, if there is a bit of an uptick on it, if people are sort of going to jump on board. I want to maybe get one just for the sake of having it and being future ready and that whole FOMO. You know, I need to get in early to get first dibs on a Stadia username, as you know. So
it's very important.
Yeah. We'll see. What's your stance on this stuff, Dream?
I haven't seen the presses about it myself, but just going off the details that you've sort of rattled off there and a few things I read earlier, it seems cool. Like I do like the idea of it. It's definitely, I think, the future of gaming. That it's going to be streaming more than anything else. We're going to move away from hardware needs and go to the cloud, so to speak. Beyond that, like I said, probably a bit unqualified to talk too much more about it. I'm like certainly reserving judgment. I think that this is a bit of a milestone moment where we'll just have to see how it goes. A bit like VR a few years ago, whereas it was coming back. It's like, yeah, it's great, but you know, you need adopters. Are people willing to sort of, you know, get through the teething problems of what that is, that technology at the time, and are people willing to go through the teething problems associated with this? But I think they're doing everything right. I like the price point. I've got to say, I really love the price point. It's one of the big sticking points for me in gaming, particularly if you want to try and be across everything. You're spending a lot of money. You're spending a ton of money. So to have something that's not going to cost another $400, $500 to sort of tick the box on, I think that's pretty good. That's good news for everyone.
Yeah, I didn't see where the pricing of the games were. I missed that or haven't sort of dug deep enough to see where that was. Did you see anything about that?
No, I actually didn't. I didn't actually see anything in regards to that. That's the other element where I'm just kind of like, I really hope they offer more of a discounted range, essentially because it's a streaming experience. So you are highly dependent on whatever's being streamed through the cloud and pretty much what's happening on their end. So I could only imagine if you're still paying full price but not getting the full experience because of whatever. So that's the other part I'm a bit curious about.
Do you think they'll ever come out with a model like this where maybe they'll put like a rental service in for games where you could say rent a game for $30 hypothetically and you get it for 7 days access?
Fuck that.
Because I think that'd probably lend itself to a streaming service, right?
You want to do what Microsoft's doing at the moment. Surely you want Game Pass.
Oh yeah, well Game Pass would work too, but like for individual purposes, like purchases, I think could be interesting where you could hire it overnight, almost like thinking back to those video days where they'd make quick bucks. You know, people think they can try and smack it out overnight, and then they fail, then they have to hire it again and again and again and again and again. Like,
I mean, it gives the option. It gives the option. And you know what? It might not be too bad, especially if you're actually taking a gamble on a game. Like, and it might be just shit.
But you do that with
Anthem players.
You can do that with movies now. Like, you can rent movies online, get a digital copy for a set period of time. I hate that so much. Like, in a world where you've got so many good streaming services that are so cheap and accessible, and you've just got a world of content on them, why would you pay $20 to get a HD copy of a movie for 7 days? Like, the fact that it's so limited.
People do, though. That's
I know they do, but I just don't think it's the best model. And I don't think it's a particularly fair model in the current market, you know, when you can get access to so much for so little, to have to push people that way. Like, I think there's something, like, there was definitely something predatory about the way video shops used to do that shit, where it would be like, you can rent it for a night, and then if you forget to come back tomorrow, well, it's okay, but we'll, you know, triple it in late fees or whatever. I hate that idea, and I hate that idea for gaming, because games you're not going to get through anything in a night, maybe 7 days, but you know, who wants to limit themselves like that?
Yeah, I just think, like, knowing how some of these big businesses work, they might explore an avenue like that where it is gross and predatory and make some cash that way.
Activision Blizzard would. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of doing a Game Pass equivalent on it where maybe you pay $20 a month for that service or whatever, and you get access to those first wave of launch titles or something. I think that could be a good way to get a high uptake and a high early investment on the Stadia.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. All right, moving on to some other news, and this isn't really E3 leaky. This is actually live from the E3 sort of indirect show floor, and this comes via from the EA Play experience that's sort of going on over the US weekend. So it started today, which is Sunday for us Australians, Saturday for those in the States, and we'll run through Sunday and then trickle into a little bit of Monday as well. And it led off with 15 minutes of gameplay showing Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order. What did you guys think of this?
I wasn't crazy impressed with it. There were a few things that were reminiscent of old games, mostly just using force powers and such and the environments, but for the most part I wasn't really wowed or saw anything too new. Graphically it looked nice, but
yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. Some of the character models looked alright. We saw Forrest Whitaker, who was Saw Gerrera from Rogue One, so he makes an appearance in this, which I think was pretty cool. We see Cal, who was the lead character that you'll be playing as in the game, running around, wrecking shop, destroying stormtroopers in a very wide, creative way, with his Jedi powers and doing pushes and pulls and throwing his lightsaber out and doing a whole heap of things. The combat looked pretty smooth. The sort of action itself looked good. Some of the facial animations with Cal looked a little bit janky to me and left a bit to be desired.
A little bit blank.
Yeah, a bit of a lower pixel count there or something. I don't know.
It's alpha game footage.
Yeah. But you'd think they'd have as much polish on that now to get that initial hook for this big event and get the hype. It looks good. It felt very much like The Force Unleashed to me, with a prettier skin, and instead of playing Darth Vader's secret apprentice, you're playing a nice positive Jedi influence.
There's I'm a bit conflicted about this one. So I watched the full 30 minutes, including the interview that Greg Miller did with the two guys from Respawn. I think that it had the game director Stig Asmussen and then some other guy. So there's a few things here which I think are really frustrating as a sort of Star Wars geek. The first is that this is considered canon. This is lore, this game. And it takes place after Order 66, which happens in episode 3. And if you were going to point to a Star Wars film and say, which one do I think this looks most like? It's kind of episode 3 with how actiony it is with everything that's happening. You got a first look at BD, which is the new droid. BD's kind of cute.
He is pretty cute.
I'll say that. BD's pretty cute. They had a little mock BD on stage there. But the double jump, the wall running, and the slow time mechanic, the way they introduced this 15 minutes of gameplay was, this is about 3 hours into the game. The character that you're playing, Lars, is actually a Jedi Padawan who survived the Order 66 massacre. And so he's still got to discover and go on his journey to be ultimately what a Jedi is. So you'd expect, okay, so he's still figuring things out. This guy fights better than any Jedi I've ever seen in my fucking life. Are you kidding me? The way this guy stops everything he's doing, and they've got a really good player playing the game, but the mechanics this guy is utilizing, you don't see this anywhere in Star Wars. This is you're just magic now. There's nothing else there. Whatever you want to do, they'll make it happen now. And that it's considered lore is just, it just kind of hurts that little bit more. You don't see wall running anywhere, as far as I can remember. And I'm pretty sure that's correct. And you don't see double jumping
that's
anywhere.
Probably, and that's from the Respawn, from Titanfall.
I know.
Yep.
And the guys had the audacity to be like, oh yeah, the double jump. We're so glad that we got to add the double jump. It's called the force jump push kick. Force wind jump or something. They gave it a force name. Every Jedi had access to this the whole time, but no one thought to do it. It's just it's kind of cheap. It's really cheap. I thought that some of the animations looked a little bit off. Like there's a downwards attack where he jumps and goes down. You'd think that'd be like some kind of like downward stab, right? But it's just sort of like it's like a ground attack. There's nothing cool specific about that. I thought it was interesting that some people also compared this to Dark Souls. That killed me.
that is so dumb.
Fucking killed me. Like I was watching Twitter as this was happening, and people were like, "Oh, it looks great, like a lot like Dark Souls."
I just don't think people know what that means anymore. They just say it.
It's like, yeah, it's just so like clickbaity. It's just a buzzword that people are using. But even like I think even Greg Miller couldn't help himself. Like he literally said after the footage was showed, he said, "I thought he'd be weaker as a Jedi." Like that's what he said. Like mind blown watching this. I think it looks like a good game. It looks like a fun game. Don't get me wrong. Just this like Star Wars canon. It's like, ugh. And they also confirmed that there's no Sith. Like you can't go evil. You can only go good, which is kind of boring to me. Anyway,
we know that's the path you like to walk.
Yeah.
So,
well, I like to have the option.
Maybe for this sort of alpha footage that they are showing, maybe they have max leveled all his abilities in the skill tree. So that's why he's so gangster to start with.
I'm sure that that's a possibility, but I hate the idea that they introduce these things, they call it lore, and then you sit down and you say, well, you know, where was this built into any of the films? Like, where was this built in anywhere in the past? Like, why don't you just, instead of like creating new shit that's cool and zany, why don't you work within the constraints of the universe that the people love and come up with some cool things that way? Like, work with a tighter scope. Don't just say, yeah, he can double jump and he can wall run and he can do all this other stuff. It's just bullshit. Anyway.
What are the odds that we're going to see some of this in the next Star Wars film at the end of the year now? We'll see a couple of double jumps and a wall run.
I like it's like $1.50. It's probably pretty good considering Disney are pretty happy. Like, I just I don't know. I was a bit surprised by some of the decisions, but again, it looks good. It just looks easy and cheap and not like Star Wars.
Yeah. One thing I saw that sort of raised my eyebrows a little bit. I've been doing a little bit of reading, and Eurogamer sort of were talking about what we didn't see, like what they saw behind the scenes from the demo, and apparently like there's a big show focus on the player's ship and your traveling companions and things like that. But from one thing that they're saying suggests is the possibility to journey back to previous planets and adventures, so you aren't sort of just stuck on that linear path. You can potentially go back or tackle things in orders that you'd like, which I think could be pretty cool, being able to sort of planet hop and discover things at your own pace. I think that could be pretty fun. A la like a Mass Effect. And then obviously the skill tree menu.
Just looking for anything to scratch that itch, aren't you?
Yeah.
Anything, mate. I'm like a crack fiend. I'm like, I need that shepherd. I need that shepherd.
Check out Star Wars Fallen Order. It's like Dark Souls meets Mass Effect.
That's on the box art.
Fuck.
Oh, God.
My name's Cal, and I endorse this message at the Citadel.
My head hurts.
But yeah, I'm really curious to see that skill tree, see exactly what you can do, and if they did just open it up for the wow factor in that demo. Because yeah, it would suck if you are 3 hours into the game and you are this God mode Jedi that can just wreck shop without sort of any form of hesitation. But I think they're just going to gradually open that sort of skill tree up for that final battle where you are.
I don't think so.
True Jedi.
Actually, you know what? I really don't think so, because the things we're talking about are locked to the terrain. You need to do those things to get through the map. Like if you think about it, he has to wall run. Yeah. He has to wall run, he has to double jump, and he has to force stop things to get through that map. It's not combat related. So I think you're right. I think like that maybe there are some aspects of it that are dialed up for E3, but that stuff is 100% locked in at that point.
Well, in the old games, you had to build it up, like for how long or how strong you were, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they'll do.
No, but that's I don't think so. Like again, it just wouldn't work. There's no other way to get through that map without those powers.
Yeah, I think maybe from the jump you're going to have those movement based abilities, but yeah, maybe the force throws and things like that. Maybe you'd get those via the skill trees, but we'll see. It still looked all right, and I'm still keen. I love me some Star Wars, and I love me some sort of third person sort of hack and slash action sort of RPGs. So let's see how we go, because that comes out in November as well. It releases the same day as the next bit of news that we wanted to talk about.
Apex
Nintendo
Legends?
Direct Sword. Oh, fuck, I forgot about that.
Nah, that's all right. It's probably not too much to say, to be honest.
Apex Legends highlighted Season 2 of Apex Legends. They also revealed their 10th legend, a French scientist known as Watson.
Yeah.
And that's about all we got from there.
She looks
still looks good. She is pretty cute.
She looks pretty meta-defining, to be honest. Like, she's got this, like, shield that she sets up. It's like a fence. She sets up this electric fence that you can't pass through without, like, getting stunned. So,
yeah, it's sort of a shock and slow when you sort of punch through that door there.
Yeah.
Like
it looked interesting. Yeah. They did also reveal a bunch of skins. I thought this was weird. They advertised a double XP weekend that ends on June 9th, which if you're
tomorrow
playing at home,
Sorry.
well, today's June 9th. Tomorrow's June 9th if you're in the States. I thought that was a bit annoying. Surely marketing could have got ahead of that. Anyway,
Apex Legends, great game, but I don't even know where the player base is for that game anymore. I haven't played it in a month or so. But I still enjoyed it every time I did. But the last bit of news I thought we could tackle today comes via way of the Nintendo Direct that aired this past week, and it goes around Pokemon Sword and Shield. Ton of reveals. Pokemon Sword and Shield obviously is dropping on November 15th, the same day as Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's available to pre-order now, and you can also pre-order it in a special bundle pack. And via the way of Pokemon Direct, I'm going to handball this over to the Dream because you are well adversed in this Pokemon goodness.
Well versed.
I didn't catch the Direct. I just watched sort of the trailer online and things. So Dream, take it away.
All right. You are listening to me talk about Pokemon because we did get a ton of stuff coming out in the Direct. I was surprised by how much they showed, but I was a bit annoyed that we didn't get the evolutions. What we did get though was we got introduced to the new sort of mega power that's going to be available to players in this game. And by God, is it mega? It's called Dynamax. So in addition to growing your Pokemon to gigantic kaiju size, like actually huge as fuck.
Maybe we've missed the note. This could be after Godzilla vs. Kong. It's going to be Godzilla vs. Snorlax or something like that. It's
it could also
Dynamax
explain,
Snorlax.
It could also explain a little something in Detective Pikachu too.
Hey,
no spoilers.
Yes.
Yeah, if there was ever a reason to go back and watch that film, this might be it, but I don't think it's good enough. Don't watch that film.
I think you cracked the case there, Dream.
Yeah, man, I'm on it, man. I'm on it. Forget you, Ryan Reynolds. So Dynamax, it empowers your Pokemon for 3 turns. You can only use it once per match, but it looks like you can use it on just about any Pokemon, and it looks like gym leaders have access to it as well. In addition to you and gym leaders, though, there are going to be raid-style battles where you can play with other players against Dynamax Pokemon that are all empowered by this. And when you're battling them, they're permanently empowered. So it is going to be a tough fight. I do like that they've got this sort of raid-style battle mechanic in the game now. It's very, very cool. There will be some Pokemon, they've said, which are exclusively available only through Dynamax battles. So there's definitely a reason to get into it if you're looking to fill out that Pokedex. There were 7 new Pokemon revealed. Don't ask me their names. One of them's a sheep. One of them's a steel crow. Wooloo. One of them's a steel crow. Corviknight. Corviknight looks cool. Mm-hmm. Corviknight is also your taxi service around Galar region.
That was cute.
That was cool.
I thought that was adorable.
And it makes it seem as though they're definitely not going to go ahead with HMs. They seem to have scrapped it. It's definitely the trend in the last few core games, particularly Sun and Moon and the Let's Go series. So no more HMs. It's all going to be Pokemon sort of services like the Corviknight taxi service. What else did we see? We saw 2 new legendaries revealed. So this was big news. One of them's a dog with a sword in his mouth. His name is Zacian or Zacian. So if you imagine like Suasun with a sword in its mouth, that's that guy. The other one is called Zamazenta, and this is if you imagine a dog that's got a cone around its head because it's just had stitches, but instead of it being a cone, it's a shield. That's Zamazenta. They
That's
both
a
have
good way to describe it.
You liked it? They both have like they seem to have like an ultra form because at the end of the cinematic trailer they sort of beast mode a bit and like empower, like the sword gets like it changes size and it's bigger, and Zamazenta's shield gets larger. But the way the cinematic trailer plays out, it appears that there's also like another threat out there that they didn't quite reveal, because both of those legendaries are reacting to something that seems a bit stronger. Beyond that, the region looks good. I think it looks cool as shit. Like they've shown us that random encounters are definitely happening, but we saw in this like in this video that there are actually Pokemon just wandering about the world as well. And they didn't show you engaging those Pokemon, but it seems as though you might be able to engage them for also...
Yeah, just like Let's Go.
Yeah, just like Let's Go. That said, the Pokemon Sun and Moon series also had Pokemon wandering around the worlds just to sort of add a bit of, you know, atmosphere to the place and make it seem like it's not just people standing in the same spot waiting for you. So that could also be the case. It doesn't seem to be confirmed at the moment. There's also an unconfirmed chipmunk Pokemon that is on the shirt of some kid in the stadium footage. People suspect that this might be like the new Pikachu of this particular series, like a cute little Pokemon that'll be the mascot of Shield and Sword. And I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. It looks cool. I really like the look of this game. I think it's going to be like a really fun Pokemon experience.
It looks pretty fantastic. Like we're finally getting that open world Pokemon RPG that we've been like hanging for since the end of the 90s. You know, we're finally getting there where the roads are meeting. It looks great. The 2 legendaries, you know, fair enough. Obviously, there's a lot of dog-based memes circulating the internet now, which
are great,
which are fantastic. I've got really no like or dislike towards either of them. They just look meh to me, but you know, it is what it is. There's only so many creatures and creative ways you can create little animals for these worlds anyway. So, yeah, cool. Maybe the sword should have been its tail instead of it being in its mouth.
Thank you.
Well, it continues this tradition in Pokemon where Pokemon come with objects, right?
Yeah, like bloody what's the one that holds the leak?
Yeah, like
Farfetch'd.
Farfetch'd with the leak, Cubone with the skull. Like you think of what was another one? Like I don't know, I'm drawing a blank actually.
Your starter Pokemon in this one has a stick. The monkey one, the grass type, he has a stick.
Yeah.
Does he?
So, yeah, bring in weapons to Pokemon battles. It's the lines are getting blurred here.
Like, Pikachu brings a gun.
The thing you can do now, you mentioned already that it drops on November 15. You can pre-order a double pack, which I don't know if they've done that before. Yeah, I think it's a good idea as well, but.
That way you can get the exclusives, because no doubt there's going to be a dozen or so Pokemon on both versions of the game that are only available on said version. So
yeah, but like the trading in Pokemon's actually really, it's fucking hilarious actually, because you can get a Mewtwo for like a Weedle. Like there are people out there trading legendaries for nothing, and you just need to jump on that global trade network and just find the thing you're looking for. It's not too hard. There's not you can get by with one.
Pokemon black market? What the hell?
Yeah, it's the Poke deep web. It's all in game. Yeah. Anyway,
I need to check that out, because I haven't sort of explored that in Let's Go Eevee at all. The online trading component of it, I've completely just avoided it and just kept going.
You'll be surprised. Yeah,
I'm going to see what kind of steel I can find this week. I'm going to boot that sucker up this week and see what I can track down for, you know, the cheapest possible price.
I just want to say, I actually originally, before this, had no interest in this game at all. None. But seeing the wild area, or is that what they call it? The wildlands, wild area, where between region or like between stadiums and towns and everything, is that just that open area? Very like reminiscent for me of like Zelda, like this big vast fields and everything. So
you're right.
I'm actually pretty keen on that. And also, doing like raid style battles and battling with friends and you know online, local, whatever. That's pretty cool too.
And shout out to the giant Pokeballs for those Dynamax battles where they try and capture that big Gyarados, and the Pokeball's the size of the car. He's like,
ultimate strength. Yeah, no, but so I'm good. Actually keen. Yeah,
just tough dropping on the 15th, same as Fallen Order. So, you know, 2 day one pickups for me.
Mate, I can tell you what I would pick for sure would not be Fallen Order.
Pokemans?
Yeah.
Those pocket monsters. Hey, they're not pocket monsters anymore. Fucking huge.
I'm gonna say it now. I think Fallen Order will be wholly disappointing.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna piss off the Star Wars tragics because of just the lore, just how it's savaging the lore, and then I think it's just gonna frustrate general gamers because it just looks bland. You know?
Yeah.
It didn't pick a lane. It just decided to just do what it wanted with both. I think it'll be disappointing, this Star Wars Fallen Order game.
Yeah, I think we need more.
Probably valid.
I don't want to cast too much doom and gloom over this episode right at the end, but I'm very mad at that 15 minutes of footage I saw, actually, the more I think about it. That said, I'm going to write
an angry letter to the editor.
Yeah, I think you guys know me well enough now to know that I generally do this to myself. So, anyway, we'll see. But that's my prediction.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. We'll see how things go. Obviously, we'll see more and more as we crawl closer to that November 15th launch date. I don't know if we'll see much more over the next few days at E3, but yeah, there will be certainly more gameplay and dev diaries and things popping out.
There will be something different shown at Microsoft, actually. They did say that during the Xbox, they're going to show more and more different footage. So
nice.
There will be more. Yeah, we will get another look.
So hold on to your butts, people, because you can be listening to this episode, or at least an hour of it, just before the Microsoft E3 showcase. So 5 a.m. Hopefully those people that are awake early, get your Hungry Games fix, and then check out the Microsoft presser.
Which apparently they're already teasing their new console.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Oh yeah.
Scarlet.
Day one pre-order for this guy. Go Team Green.
Well, Scarlet. Isn't Scarlet red?
It's a red color.
2019
red, green.
is the biggest year in gaming. Phil Spencer.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that.
It's happening.
Love you, Phil. Love you, Phil. All right, so this has been episode 154 of the Hungry Gamers podcast. Thank you all for stopping by. Is there anything you two wanted to say before we close this one up for another week?
I actually don't think I have anything to plug apart from just keeping your eyes out for our 8-bit cast.
Oh yeah, check that out. And while you're checking out good things, audiotechnica.com.au for the best in audio-based equipment. We're talking gaming headsets, we're talking microphones, we're talking headphones, in-ear, over-ear, turntables if you feel like putting a bit of vinyl on at home. Maybe you want to try and be a DJ. Who knows? It's all there. audiotechnica.com.au. And while you're checking out some cool stuff, we are 8bit.storeenvy.com for our official 8-bit store. We've got clothing, we've got artwork, we've got pillows, we've got beach towels, you name it. We have got a bit of 8-bit to cover your entire home, maybe a vehicle too, maybe out the beach. It's all there. So we are 8bit.storeenvy.com to throw yourselves some support behind us in the way of fantastic quality merch. I thought you were going to say something there, Miss Hart.
Oh, sorry, no. Deep in thought. Thinking about all that good-looking stuff.
Oh, yeah. So I have been Brendan. You can find me at Brendan8bit. You can find Ali at Miss Ali Hart. You can find The Dream at Salim TD. And you can find us all as a collective at We Are 8bit. Be sure to search the hashtag 8bit collective for all the other podcast links from all the other fantastic content creators that we're working with on the daily. But until next week, 8bit Nation, much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.